man wanted a job done properly, he had to do it by himself. Of course, his friends had helped a little bit, but the vision was entirely his. He had secured an incredible, entirely legitimate contract with a local botanical distributor in Halifax. It was a cash agreement, a testament to his hard work. He felt like he had finally achieved his ultimate goal. He was going to be a success. He knew Julian and Bubbles might be slightly disappointed that he had kept his special botanical garden a secret from them, but he had a plan. He was going to host a massive, joyful celebration, and that would mend any hurt feelings. Parties, in Ricky's mind, had the magical ability to fix absolutely everything. "Okay, gentlemen," Ricky whispered, gesturing for his loyal companions, Jacob and Corey, to follow him past the final row of oak trees. "When we get to the clearing, there must be no talking and no foolishness. We are going to harvest these beautiful plants as efficiently as we can and transport them before the morning sun begins to rise. Do you understand?" "Yes, absolutely," Corey whispered back, his eyes wide with excitement. "Do not worry, Ricky. We are fully prepared. Thank you for including us in this grand harvest." They stepped into the clearing, but the peaceful silence of the night was suddenly shattered. A loud, booming noise echoed through the woods. It sounded like a farmer using a loud noisemaker to scare away crows. Panic surged through the group. Shadows moved in the darkness. Rival gardeners had discovered Ricky's hidden agricultural sanctuary and were already loading his precious, carefully cultivated plants into their own trucks. "Run!" Ricky shouted, his dreams of early retirement crumbling before his eyes. In the chaotic retreat, they stumbled through prickly bushes and uneven terrain. Ricky felt the sting of a sharp branch scrape his arm, a painful reminder of the universe constantly placing obstacles in his path. He looked up at the night sky, frustrated and heartbroken. Why did the world always seem to challenge his ambitions just as he was on the verge of success? Meanwhile, on the other side of the neighborhood, the morning sun illuminated a much more triumphant scene. Bubbles was standing proudly in his wooden shed, carefully inspecting his new, highly sophisticated beverage brewing system. "Hello, friends," Bubbles greeted Julian and an older neighbor who had just walked in. "Look at this incredible setup. I sold my famous pizza sauce recipe to a lovely gentleman with a fascinating accent, and I reinvested every single penny into creating my own line of artisanal root beer. It started off slowly, but I am making a very decent profit now." Bubbles proudly held up a beautifully labeled bottle. "I call it the Green Champion India Pale Soda. I am selling a tremendous amount of it to the wonderful people in our community. Business is booming. However, I am under a considerable amount of pressure today. Ricky is preparing to make a major announcement this afternoon. He is throwing a large celebration, and he ordered 22 large bottles. It must be very significant news. I am extremely excited." Julian, holding a glass of ice water, looked around the shed with a mixture of admiration and underlying anxiety. "How is the beverage business treating you, my friend?" "It is absolutely amazing," Bubbles replied, a bright smile lighting up his face. "It is far more rewarding than my previous odd jobs." "It is wonderful that people are enjoying it," Julian noted, his mind calculating possibilities. "You know, I have been thinking, perhaps you could create a special beverage with my name and portrait on it. We could call it the Muscle Man Soda. It would be quite humorous and appealing." Bubbles adjusted his thick glasses, sensing the sudden shift in Julian's tone. "So, what exactly are your sales figures like?" Julian pressed, leaning against the wooden counter. "Are you generating a significant profit margin each week? Do you know the overall valuation of your growing company?" Bubbles sighed softly. He knew Julian was currently struggling with his finances, but he also knew better than to mix friendship with premature business partnerships. "Julian, please do not attempt to use complicated business television terminology on me. I watch those entrepreneur programs as well. I know exactly what you are doing." Julian's shoulders slumped, his facade fading. "Bubbles, I am in a difficult position. I am entirely without funds. I am trying to build a legitimate life, but I am finding it incredibly challenging. I invited a lovely woman to watch a film yesterday evening, and she had to purchase the popped corn. Do you understand how deeply embarrassing that was for me? Well, I told you previously that attending the cinema can be quite expensive, Bubbles replied gently. We were watching a television broadcast in my living room, Julian corrected him, his voice laced with defeat. I could not even afford the microwavable popped corn from the local market. My situation is dire. Bubbles, possessing a heart full of compassion, reached into his pocket and pulled out a crisp banknote. Here, Julian. Please take this. Julian shook his head proudly. I do not want your charity. You clearly require some assistance, Bubbles insisted, pressing the money into Julian's hand. You cannot afford snacks for a pleasant evening. Please, take it, and try to appreciate the gesture. Across the park, Ricky was nursing his scraped arm. His daughter, Trinity, and Julian had come to check on him. Ricky, what on earth happened to your arm? Julian asked, his brow furrowed in concern. Ricky hesitated, not wanting to admit the painful truth of his failed garden. Well, Corey, Jacob, and I were participating in a new sport called rollerblade skiing. We were gliding along beautifully, and suddenly, we hit a massive patch of gravel. We fell down very hard. Jacob took the worst tumble. They truly should not place loose gravel in recreational areas. Trinity crossed her arms, looking at her father with a mixture of love and stern skepticism. Dad, why are there small pebbles embedded in Jacob's jacket? Please tell me the truth. Ricky looked down, the weight of his secret finally becoming too heavy to bear. All right, everyone, I am truly sorry. I have been keeping a massive secret from all of you for the entire summer. I was not upgrading my small engine repair certification, and I was not attending the crane operator classes. I was secretly cultivating a beautiful, organic botanical garden in the woods. Oh, Dad, Trinity sighed, disappointment coloring her voice. You promised you would focus on your traditional studies. I know, and I am deeply sorry, Ricky admitted, his voice full of regret. But it was a spectacular garden. I developed a unique hybrid plant with a professional botanist. I built an entire irrigation system for 75 magnificent plants. Some of them grew 8 feet tall. It was a masterpiece of nature. I had a wonderful agreement to sell them legitimately today. I would have been financially secure for life. And then what happened? Julian asked gently. Last night, it all unraveled, Ricky explained, looking at the floor. I took Jacob and Corey with me to help harvest. When we arrived, rival gardeners had already taken everything. They made loud noises and chased us away. We lost our footing and tumbled down a rocky hill. I was incredibly close to achieving my dream of early retirement. Now it is all gone. Trinity placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Why would you involve my husband in such a risky midnight adventure, Dad? You both could have been seriously injured in the dark. He wanted to join me, Ricky defended himself weakly. But you are right. It was irresponsible. I am just so frustrated. Julian shook his head. So, this means there is no grand announcement today? The entire celebration is cancelled. No, Ricky said, his eyes suddenly lighting up with renewed determination. The celebration is absolutely still happening. The grand announcement has nothing to do with the garden. It is something entirely different, something purely driven by love and emotion. It is going to be monumental. While Ricky prepared for his party, 2 other members of the community were experiencing a profound life change. Mr. Leahy and Randy were stepping out of the local police station, breathing in the fresh, crisp air of absolute freedom. They had been involved in a misunderstanding regarding misplaced community funds, but a pragmatic officer named Ted had arranged for the matter to be resolved quietly, allowing them to start anew. We are finally moving forward, Leahy said,